London. Deregulation and the neoliberal agenda had sidelined trade unions, and therefore we had to put aside the old enmities between skilled and semi-skilled workers, between blue-collar and white-collar workers, because it became obvious to us that a competition was self-defeating. But now we have three main pillars of our union: organising, political work and international work. Now in organising, we have an organising strategy based on well thought through plans designed to create and train activists who will organise their own workplaces. Plus, all of our officials are responsible to ensure that every company that they look after, we try to achieve 100% membership in those workplaces. And we are trying to train as many activists as we can in every workplace. Politically, we now speak with one voice in the Labour Party. We now have more UNITE members than ever before, standing in the current general election in the UK. So much so that the right-wing media are making overblown statements, such as UNITE now owns the Labour Party. Well, we don't. And we don't want to own it, but we want to influence it. Our strategy is this: we must ensure we get ordinary working people into Parliament. People who have done a real job, who know what it's like to clock on at 6 AM in the morning and deal with a boss who's a real bastard. And Leo gave me the okay to say that word. And internationally, comrades, we're proud that we took the first step to creating a truly international union by the merger of UNITE with the United Steelworkers to create Workers Uniting. Now, over the past few years, we've recognised that no one union in one country can fight giant corporations who now control the daily lives of working people and their families. The creation of Workers Uniting means that we have to set aside any nationalistic approaches to organising workers against a background where employers can play one off against the other and play workers off in one country against workers off in another country, almost on a daily basis. In the UK and the Republic of Ireland, we've seen an economic meltdown with thousands of jobs lost to the greed and avarice of the financial institutions and big business. Now their power has outstripped governments, and even such powerful institutions as we have, such as the European Union, they now have to listen to the views and policies of the spivs and the shysters who run hedge funds and use other people's money to destroy the lives of our members and their families. These corporations have forced governments to deregulate the finance industry, to dilute employment protection and sell off publicly owned industries for the profit of the few. Comrades, as Leo said this morning, the rich didn't get richer over the past 40 years just by accident. This was a deliberate policy started by the Reagan-Thatcherite era, and it's still going on. All of us in our unions have faced massive challenges, and no matter where you work, whether it's in the private sector, in a small business, in a multinational corporation, or indeed in the public services, you will be affected by the decisions of these multinational corporations and the financial institutions. Now, during the economic crisis last year in the UK and Ireland, there was massive anger at the action of the banks in what can be described as casino capitalism. Thousands of workers, manufacturing workers, lost their jobs. As in Canada, many of our members were laid off and put out of work or went on a short-time working. In UNITE, thousands of finance sector workers in our union, it's one of our biggest sectors, and I'm talking about the bank clerks, the administration staff and the ordinary working people, not the investment bankers, they've lost their jobs. It is our view that the investment bankers, the currency traders, the people who use other people's money to make themselves rich beyond belief, do not serve any useful, socially useful purpose. We should never let these people do this again. I just want to say there was one company that did reasonably well out of the recession, and that's the toilet tissue manufacturer Kimberly-Clark. They went into profit during the recession in the UK, and we say it was because all the investment bankers were shitting themselves and they had to buy extra toilet tissue. The race to the bottom continues, and that's why the Steelworkers in Unite have created Workers Uniting. We deal with the same companies and the same industries. As you saw in the video, the paper-making industry in the US and Canada have the same companies that we have in the UK. So now we've got together, we share information, we work together to ensure that our members can't be played off one against the other. We're coordinating for the first time collective bargaining in companies such as Kimberly-Clark, in International Paper, in Georgia Pacific, in Glatfelter, in Midwest Vaco. And guess what? The employers do not like it at all. Your International Vice President, you saw on the video, John Geenan, was a member of Unite's collective bargaining team for the national agreement in the paper-making industry in the UK last year. A real breakthrough. But before he even set off for the UK, US employers in the paper industry called him up and wanted to know what he was doing, taking part in UK pay negotiations for the paper-making industry. That decision alone made those employers sit up and take notice. Now, next month, we'll be sending over 3 full-time regional officials of UNITE who will work alongside 3 officials of the steelworkers. They'll be on the road with them day to day, working in companies, doing organising work, political work, and later on in the year, colleagues from the United Steelworkers will be working alongside our officials in the UK. By creating Workers Uniting, we believe we have at long last stopped fighting hard only to lose badly. Employers have, as I said, sat up and began to take notice, and now they recognise they'll get a global response. And it's not just confined to paper making. We're now working together in the universities, in oil, in steel, and we're now working together to educate our activists. We have an international agenda, as Ken has said this morning, working together to support trade unions in Colombia, the most dangerous place in the world to be a trade unionist. We're working hard to support Napoleon and his colleagues in Mexico. And importantly, another campaign where we're working hard to assist people in the shipbreaking industry in Bangladesh, who are many of them are children, who are treated almost like slaves. And we want to reach out to other unions to share our vision wherever they are in the world. Workers uniting does not mean one union taking over another. We're aiming to create a global independent union which consolidates our industrial and collective bargaining work and campaigns politically but organises globally. So friends, finally I want to refer, as everybody else has done, to the members at Theilheimer. We are dealing here with a greedy, avaricious and despicable multinational corporation. They want to drag down pay and conditions anywhere in the world, not just in Canada, and they'll do it if they can get away with it. Now, Unite was proud last year when Dave and his colleague Joe Guido were able to come to the Unite sectoral conferences to explain the background to the strike and the fact that despite making billions of dollars in profit, the company has used the excess of the recession to sack thousands of workers. These 3,000 striking miners are not only members of the United Steelworkers, they are members of Workers Uniting, and therefore they are our members, and that's why we will stand shoulder to shoulder with them and ensure that not only do they win, the steelworkers win, and Workers Uniting wins. Let me just say, we'll not stand by and watch our comrades at